Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies where and when you're watching. My name is Lis Hammond, and today I will be talking about mapping a biopsychosocial adjustment process model onto the WHO's International Classification of Functioning Disability and Health. First, briefly about me. I was trained in the UK as a counselling psychologist, where I worked for many years in various rehabilitation settings. Currently, I live and work in Denmark, mainly as an independent researcher. I specialise in psychosocial adjustment to long-term conditions, and I'm a chair and founding member of the International Network of Research into Psychosocial Adjustment to Long-Term Conditions. I've developed a biopsychosocial adjustment process model called the Integrative Model of Adjustment to Chronic Conditions, or for short, IMACC. And in this presentation, I will refer to this short name of the model. As mentioned, IMACC is a biopsychosocial adjustment process model. At first glance, the model looks a bit complicated. Nevertheless, the model is relatively simple, consisting of three interacting model levels. The first level, the preconditioned personality, concerns the whole of the person as they were before acquiring their long-term condition. However, it is of course the aspects that impact on the adjustment process that are particularly relevant. That includes beliefs and attitudes about health and the world, in particular other people. It includes beliefs about oneself, for instance, values and meanings. And it includes, of course, relevant habits and patterns of behaviors, not least health behaviors. The first level also includes critical incidents, which concerns actual and perceived events leading to the new situation of having to adapt to a life with a long-term condition. The second level, called the ongoing adjustment cycle, contains the 5 areas of adjustment, each posing different challenges the person has to resolve in order to move forwards in their adjustment process. In each area, the person may come up against barriers, typically stemming from preconditioned attitudes and habits that are no longer helpful in the new situation. There may also be barriers in the person's environment that they have to overcome. One area I will be talking more about is learning new. It concerns the learning of relevant knowledge, skills, and attitudes needed in the new situation. Finally, the third level, called the maintenance cycle, is the engine of change, you could say, where challenges in the areas of adjustment are either maintained or resolved. If challenges are maintained, the changes will be negative and may eventually cause mental health problems and negative identity change. However, if the challenges are resolved, the person learns new attitudes and behaviors that are more helpful in light of the new situation. When that happens, their identity will change to include their long-term condition and what they need to do in order to stay as well as possible. So the main strength of IMACC is that it allows for systematic assessment and identification of barriers to the normal progression of adjustment, and thereby a model of the processes involved in the behavior and identity changes. However, the main focus of this presentation is to demonstrate IMACC's compatibility with the ICF, and we will proceed to that. The International Classification of Functioning Disability and Health is an international scientific tool to study the disability, and it is also applicable for use in rehabilitation practice. However, whereas the ICF allows for detailed assessment of all types of functioning, including psychological and social functioning, it does not offer an understanding of the process of moving from relatively poor functioning, seen in the light of the specific condition, to relatively good or optimal functioning. This issue has been raised in the literature. So the question for this project was therefore whether IMACC might be compatible with the ICF. If so, IMACC could offer to close the gap, so to speak, of the process understanding that is currently missing from the ICF system. The project used data from the original IMACC study, which looked at how people adjust to living with type 2 diabetes. The methodology was grounded theory, which is a method for generating new theory. 10 people participated in individual interviews and focus groups, and the result was the IMACC model I presented earlier. For this project, we used secondary data analysis using the data sets underlying each IMACC component, which are the circles and boxes in the IMACC model you saw before, linking the data to ICF using the standard linking rules. IMACC has 12 main components, each with their own definition. To illustrate the findings, I have selected the example of the IMACC component learning new. As mentioned earlier, that component has 3 subcomponents: knowledge, skills, and attitudes. The definition of learning new skills is learning new skills relevant to management of a condition. In this example, we will look at learning the skill of impulse control. The ICF is based on a model of functioning and disability, which shows the interacting areas of function or ICF components. These are represented by the white boxes in this model. For IMACC to be compatible, it should map onto this ICF model in all ICF components. Looking at the example of learning impulse control, we see, starting from the top, that we're talking about the health condition diabetes type 2 and the IMACC component learning new skills. In the second row, we have the ICF code for impulse control and the body structure of the brain. A data example here is a participant expressing awareness of exercising this impulse control she has had to learn. She says to herself, "Why are you buying this chocolate? Are you rewarding yourself?" The activity needed is acquisition of the skill of impulse control for the purpose of managing diet and fitness. This can be a particular challenge when socializing, which is a function of participation. So a participant here said, "Socially, I can go out and have a meal that won't include pudding." Below, we see the environmental factors, in this case, the immediate family and health professionals. The quote shows the support the participant has had in learning impulse control. So the participant said, "The dietitian could see if I could make any changes." Finally, the personal factors include motivation, personal evaluation, and habits, or patterns of behavior, if you will. The quote is, "I would tend to reward myself with food." So clearly an old habit that has been replaced with a new habit. This example illustrates the positive endpoint of health behavior change as seen through the ICF model. It informs us of factors that are relevant for learning the skill of impulse control. However, it does not inform us of the dynamic processes that were required during the transition. This is where IMACC can provide a tool to study and understand the process of biopsychosocial adjustment. In conclusion, we can say that all 12 IMACC components accommodate ICF codes from all ICF components in patterns consistent with the definitions of each separate IMACC component. In other words, IMACC seems to be compatible with the ICF. We believe that this is the first biopsychosocial process model to map comprehensively to the ICF. As demonstrated, it would seem that IMACC could be used as a framework for process research relevant to the ICF, but further research is needed to confirm the compatibility. IMACC is also directly applicable in rehabilitation practice for assessment and intervention, and here clinical testing is a research priority. Other options for research includes development of assessment and outcome measures, and it might also be possible to develop interdisciplinary team working based on both ICF and the IMACC. Finally, this is my contact information, and you're most welcome to contact me if you want to know more. Thank you very much for your interest and attention. I bid you farewell in the hope that I might have conveyed something useful to you. Have a good day and a good conference. Thank you very much.